Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know a lot of you are super interested in. It's AI tools, and specifically one that's been making some pretty bold claims. It's called QAI.
QAI.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I have, yeah. It's been making some buzz.
So they're saying it's the ultimate all-in-one AI platform, that it can handle pretty much anything you can throw at it. So we're going to dig into that today and see if it lives up to the hype or if it's just, clever marketing.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds ambitious. Trying to be a jack of all trades in the AI world is a tough feat to pull off.
Right? Like, can one tool really do it all? That's the big question. So let's break down what we've got here. The material we've been looking at claims that QAI can create all sorts of content, like blog posts, ad copy, social media stuff. They say it uses something called natural language processing, or NLP, and that it's supposed to be high quality and practically effortless. But how does that even work?
Well, NLP is basically how AI learns to understand and generate text. Like it analyzes massive amounts of data, figuring out the patterns and relationships in language. So it can write in the way that sounds natural to us humans.
So it's like having a robot Shakespeare at your fingertips. I mean, is that what they're saying?
Well, not quite Shakespeare, maybe. But the idea is that you could give QAI some basic instructions, and it'll spit out a decent first draft of, say, a blog post.
Well,
Or come up with catchy captions for your Instagram.
okay, but how good can AI-generated content really be? I mean, I've seen some pretty bad stuff out there.
Right.
What makes QAI different?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. We'd really need to look at some specific examples of QAI's output and compare it to other AI writing tools to judge the quality. And even then, it's still just a tool. You'll probably want to edit and refine the content to make it your own.
That's a good point. It's easy to get carried away with this idea of AI doing all the work, but it's probably more realistic to think of it as a starting point or a way to get over writer's block.
Exactly. And that's where things get interesting. When you look at QAI's other features, it's not just about content. They're also claiming to do AI-powered visual design.
Wait, hold on. So this thing can write my blog post, A&D design the graphics to go with it.
Yeah, things like image generation, graphic design, even photo editing, all in one platform.
Okay, that's a lot for one tool to handle. Is that even possible?
That's what they're claiming. The idea is that you could, for instance, use QAI to create a logo for your business or design a social media ad even if you have zero design skills.
Yeah, I see the appeal, especially for someone like me who can barely draw a stick figure. But how does QAI's approach to design stack up against what's already out there? Are there other AI tools that do this kind of thing?
Oh yeah, there are definitely other AI design tools. Some are focused on specific tasks like logos or photo editing. What QAI seems to be going for is that all-in-one approach again, trying to be the one-stop shop for all your creative needs.
Okay, so like the Swiss Army knife of AI tools. But we've all had those multi-tools where none of the functions actually work that well. Is QAI at risk of falling into that trap?
Yeah, it's a valid concern for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to be everything to everyone can sometimes mean you're not great at anything.
Yeah.
We need to dig into how QAI's design features actually work and see how they compare to specialized tools to get a real sense of it.
Yeah, fair enough. But before we get too lost in the design world, there's another big piece of the puzzle that QAI claims to handle: data analysis.
Data analysis.
They're talking about sales analysis, customer insights forecasting, all that stuff that can help businesses make better decisions.
Right. And this is where things get interesting because the potential applications vary so much for different users. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, imagine using QAI to track your sales trends, identify your most valuable customers, or even predict future demand.
Wow, so it's like having a built-in business consultant. That could be a game changer for someone starting out, or even for someone who's been running their business for years and just doesn't have the time to crunch all those numbers themselves.
Exactly. And for students, you can imagine being able to analyze research data more easily or visualize trends in a way that's simple to understand.
So I'm starting to see how this one platform could appeal to a wide range of people. But wouldn't the data analysis needs of an entrepreneur be pretty different from those of a student? How can QAI cater to such distinct needs?
That's where we need to look at QAI's customizability. Can you tailor the data analysis tools to fit your specific needs and goals? Do they offer templates or guides for different use cases? Those are the details we need to investigate.
Got it. So it's not just about whether QAI can do data analysis, but how well it can do it for different users and their particular goals.
Exactly, and that's the kind of detail we're going to keep exploring as we continue our deep dive into QAI.
All right, sounds good. But let's be honest, all this talk about content creation design and data analysis is pretty mentally taxing. Luckily, it seems like QAI has us covered there too, with something they call workflow automation.
Workflow automation.
Yeah, things like email automation, task scheduling, document management, all designed to free up your time and mental energy.
Yes, this is where QAI starts to sound less like a bunch of separate tools and more like a truly integrated platform. Just imagine if it could analyze your sales data, then automatically generate reports and schedule emails to your team based on what it found. That level of integration could be huge for businesses.
Wow, yeah, that would be amazing. Like having a personal assistant who can anticipate your needs and takes care of all the tedious stuff. But is that level of seamless automation realistic? Or are we in wishful thinking territory?
Well, that's what we need to find out, and it's something we'll be exploring more in the next part of our deep dive. So welcome back. We've been looking at all these amazing things, QAI promises, the content creation, the data analysis, all that. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about some potential downsides, because no tool is perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's important to be realistic and look at both the good and the bad before you jump into any new tech, especially something as powerful as AI. So what are some things that might make someone hesitate before they try out QAI?
Well, one concern is that it might be tough for QAI to really excel in every area it's covering.
Yeah.
They're claiming to be the best at writing design data analysis automation.
Yeah.
That's a lot to live up to.
But yeah, you're saying they might be spreading themselves too thin, like trying to be a master of all trades, but ending up a master of none.
Exactly. It's a classic dilemma. Specialization usually leads to greater expertise. So while QAI's all-in-one approach is attractive, it's worth thinking about whether a dedicated tool for, say, data visualization might actually be more powerful than QAI's data analysis features.
I see what you mean. It's tempting to have everything in one place, but sometimes you have to sacrifice quality for convenience. It's like those multi-kitchen gadgets that try to be a blender, a food processor, and a juicer all in one, but none of them really work as well as a single appliance.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And it brings up another potential issue with QAI, the learning curve. Even if the interface is user-friendly, mastering all those different features could take some time.
So even if it's supposed to be intuitive, there's still a chance users might get overwhelmed or have trouble getting the most out of all the features, especially if they're not familiar with AI tools in general.
Right, and this leads to another point, user support. How easy is it to get help if you have problems? Or if you're not sure how to use something? Does QAI have good tutorials, documentation, customer support? These are all important things to consider.
Yeah, it's like when you buy a fancy new camera. It might have all the bells and whistles, but if you don't know how to use them, you're not going to get great results. And if you can't find the manual or get help, you might end up just frustrated.
Exactly. And speaking of potential frustrations, let's talk about the cost. We know QAI is subscription-based, but they haven't said much about pricing. Is it a flat fee for everything? Or are there different tiers depending on what features you need?
That's a key question, because it boils down to value, right? If QAI is as powerful as they say, it might be worth a bigger investment. But if it ends up costing more than using separate specialized tools, then it's not such a great deal.
Absolutely. And it's not just the initial cost. What about updates and improvements? Will you have to pay extra for new features or bug fixes?
Yeah, that's a good point, like those software subscriptions that keep getting more expensive. But you're not even sure if you're getting anything new. We need to know if QAI is committed to ongoing improvements and if those will be included in the subscription.
Right. And while we're on the topic of value, let's talk about QAI's claims of giving users a competitive edge. They're suggesting that by using QAI, you'll be able to outperform your competition, whether you're a business, a freelancer, or even a student.
Okay, that's a bold claim. But I can see why people would believe it. If you have this all-in-one AI powerhouse, wouldn't you be able to work faster and smarter than someone who's doing everything manually?
In theory, yes. But you have to remember that technology is only part of the equation. Success in any field still depends on human factors. Things like creativity, strategic thinking, building relationships.
So you're saying QAI can help you automate tasks and create content, but it can't replace the human touch.
Exactly. It's meant to enhance your abilities, not guarantee success. And that's important to keep in mind when you're thinking about whether QAI can really deliver that competitive edge.
That's a really important point. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and think AI is the magic solution to all our problems, but we have to be realistic and understand that it's a tool. It can help us reach our goals, but it's not a shortcut.
Well said. And this brings us back to the need for deeper analysis. We've talked about some potential drawbacks, things to be cautious about, but we need to look closer at how QAI actually works. to figure out if these concerns are valid.
Okay, so we've got our work cut out for us. But what's the next step? How do we get a better understanding of QAI's capabilities and limitations?
Well, next part of our deep dive, we're going to take a closer look at what QAI actually delivers compared to what it promises. We'll look at user reviews comparing to other AI tools out there and try to separate the hype from reality.
Sounds good. Stay tuned, everyone. We're about to get into the nitty-gritty of whether QAI really lives up to its claims. Welcome back to our QAI deep dive. So we've talked about all the features, the potential benefits, some of the drawbacks, but now it's time to get real. Does QAI actually deliver on what it promises?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And to figure that out, we need to go beyond the marketing stuff and see what actual users are saying.
Right, because those fancy brochures and glowing testimonials, they only tell you so much. What's a real experience like?
Well, we've been digging into user reviews and feedback from all sorts of sources, and the picture is, well, it's kind of mixed.
Oh, really? So it's not all perfect then. What are people saying?
Some users are absolutely loving QAI. They're saying it's a game changer for their productivity, that it's helped them streamline their work, and that the AI-generated content is surprisingly good.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or short on time. Having an AI assistant to handle some of those tasks, that sounds pretty tempting.
Absolutely. But then there are also users who aren't as impressed. Some find the interface clunky or confusing. Others say there's a steeper learning curve than they expected. And some have even reported technical issues like glitches and bugs.
So maybe not quite the seamless, effortless experience that QAI's marketing suggests.
Yeah, it seems that way for some people. And it's not entirely unexpected. We are talking about a platform that's trying to do a lot. It's bound to have some growing pains and areas where it fell short.
Okay, so it's not perfect. But are these issues big enough to be deal breakers? Or are they just minor annoyances that you can work around?
That's where it gets tricky. It really comes down to your individual needs and what you're expecting. For some, the time-saving benefits and convenience might outweigh any minor frustrations. But for others, those frustrations might be enough to make them look for something else.
I guess it's like anything else, any tool or technology. There's no one-size-fits-all. You have to weigh the pros and cons and decide what's right for you.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to do your research. Read reviews from different sources, and if you can try it out yourself before you commit to a subscription.
Great advice. Don't just believe the marketing. Get some real-world perspectives first.
Right. And speaking of real-world perspectives, it's interesting to compare QAI to other AI tools out there. It's not the only one after all.
True. There are so many AI tools popping up these days, all making big promises. So how does QAI compare to the competition?
Well, in some ways, it does seem to offer a unique set of features. That all-in-one approach is definitely something you don't see everywhere. But then in other areas, there are more specialized tools that might be more powerful or easier to use.
So it's a trade-off. You get convenience and integration with QAI, but you might be giving up some power or functionality.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And at the end of the day, the best choice depends on what you need and how you plan to use the tool.
Okay, so we've looked at the good, the bad, and everything in between. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, where does QAI fit into the big picture of AI? Is it just another shiny new tool, or is it something more significant?
That's a really interesting question. And I think it speaks to the broader evolution of AI. We're seeing a shift from individual tools to these more integrated platforms that aim to be your one-stop shop for all your AI needs.
So QAI is kind of a sign of where AI is headed, towards these more comprehensive and user-friendly platforms that can handle a wider range of tasks.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Whether QAI succeeds or not, it's clear that this trend towards integrated AI platforms is here to stay.
That's pretty exciting. It makes you wonder what the future holds for AI
Yeah,
and how it's going to shape how we live and work.
definitely. And that's something we'll keep exploring in future deep dives as we navigate this ever-changing tech landscape.
Well said. And to everyone listening, I encourage you to keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the world of AI. It's an amazing field that's changing all the time, and there's always something new to discover. Thanks for joining us on this QAI deep dive. Until next time.